What if I told you that the person mopping your office floors could be a world-class musician? That the quiet face you pass without a second glance might hold more talent than everyone in the boardroom combined? This is the story of Marcus Chun, a 47-year-old janitor who walked into work one Tuesday morning and walked out a legend. What happened in between will make you rethink every assumption you've ever made about success, talent, and the people society renders invisible. Marcus had worked at Sterling Financial Group for 11 years. Every night from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., he moved through those glass towers like a ghost, emptying trash cans, scrubbing floors, wiping down conference tables still warm from the day's deals. He knew the building better than anyone. Which elevator made that grinding sound on the fifth floor, where the CFO hid her secret snack drawer, how many steps it took from the lobby to the executive suite. But nobody knew him. To the bankers and analysts rushing past in their $1,000 suits, Marcus was just part of the furniture. Another invisible worker keeping their world spinning. But Marcus had a secret. Growing up in Shanghai, he'd been a piano prodigy. By age 8, he was performing Rachmaninoff. By 14, he'd won the Beijing Youth Music Competition. His teachers said he had the hands of an angel and the soul of an old master. Then his father got sick. Medical bills piled up like snow in winter. His family sold everything, including the piano. At 17, Marcus made a choice. He'd go to America, work whatever jobs he could find, and send money home. The music could wait. Except waiting turned into years, then decades. The dream didn't die. It just learned to sleep quietly in a corner of his heart, waking only in the silence of empty buildings when his fingers would ghost across imaginary keys. The executive lounge on the 40th floor had a grand piano, a stunning Steinway that cost more than Marcus earned in 3 years. It sat in the corner like a museum piece, glossy black and untouched. The CEO had bought it for atmosphere after reading some article about creative workspaces. In 11 years, Marcus had seen exactly 2 people open it. Both played chopsticks and gave up after 30 seconds. But every Friday night, after everyone left, Marcus would sit at that bench. He'd crack his knuckles, take a breath, and play. Beethoven, Chopin, Debussy. The music would fill those empty spaces, and for an hour, Marcus wasn't a janitor. He was himself again. November 15th started like any other day. The company was throwing its annual leadership summit, 200 executives from around the world, speeches about synergy and disruption, the usual corporate theater. Marcus came in early to prep the space. By noon, the room buzzed with people congratulating themselves on their quarterly numbers. Then David Sterling, the CEO, took the microphone. Sterling was known for his pranks, his tests, his belief that talent could hide anywhere. He pointed at the piano and made an announcement that would change everything. "I'll make anyone in this room a bet," he said, his voice booming. "Play something beautiful on that piano, something that moves me, and I'll double your annual salary on the spot. No catch, no tricks." The room erupted in nervous laughter. A few senior VPs glanced at each other. One brave soul from marketing walked up, played a clumsy rendition of Happy Birthday, and retreated to scattered applause. Sterling shook his head. "Anyone else? We've got a Steinway here worth more than most of your cars, and nobody can play it." More silence. People checked their phones. The moment was dying. Then someone in the back, a junior analyst who'd once seen Marcus do something odd by the piano late at night, called out, "What about the janitor? I've heard sounds from up here on Friday nights." Every head turned. Marcus was by the windows, emptying a recycling bin, trying to disappear into the wallpaper. Sterling's eyes locked onto him. "You. What's your name?" Marcus's throat went dry. "Marcus Chun, sir." Sterling waved him over. "You play?" The room held its breath. Marcus looked at the floor, then at the piano, then at the 200 faces watching him like he was some kind of circus act. Every instinct screamed at him to say no, to protect himself from humiliation. But something else stirred, something that had been sleeping for 30 years. "I used to," he said quietly. Sterling grinned. "Then let's hear it. Play this piano, and I'll double your pay." Marcus walked to the Steinway on legs that felt like water. He sat down, adjusted the bench, and placed his fingers on the keys. They trembled, from fear, from anticipation, from the weight of all those lost years pressing down on his shoulders. Then he closed his eyes and began to play. He chose Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, Opus 9, Number 2. The first notes floated out like whispers, delicate and heartbreaking. Within seconds, the room transformed. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Phones lowered. Every person in that space felt something shift in the air. A presence, a power, a beauty so pure it hurt that Marcus's hands moved across the keys like they were telling a story only they knew how to speak. The music swelled and fell, each phrase a perfect arch of emotion. You could hear his whole life in those notes. The dreams, the sacrifice, the years of silence, the love for something bigger than himself. Technical perfection merged with raw feeling. His fingers danced through passages that would make conservatory students weep. Fortissimo moments that shook the windows. Pianissimo sections so soft you could hear people holding their breath. It wasn't just playing. It was revelation. It was a soul laying itself bare in front of strangers who'd never bothered to learn his name. When the final note faded, the silence lasted 5 full seconds. Then the room exploded. 200 executives rose to their feet, analysts and CFOs and managing directors, applauding like they'd witnessed something sacred. Some had tears streaming down their faces. David Sterling stood frozen, his mouth slightly open. The junior analyst who'd called Marcus out was crying openly. "How long?" Sterling finally managed. "How long have you played like this?" Marcus's voice shook. "Since I was 5. I studied at the Shanghai Conservatory. I came here to support my family." The music stayed behind. What happened next spread through the business world like wildfire. Sterling didn't just double Marcus's salary. He hired him as the company's director of cultural programs, overseeing music and arts initiatives at a 6-figure salary. But more than that, he launched a scholarship fund for working-class musicians, seeded with $5 million. Marcus's story hit the news. Within a week, he'd been interviewed by CNN, NPR, and the BBC. A record label offered him a contract. Carnegie Hall invited him to perform. His family in Shanghai watched the videos and wept. The father Marcus had sacrificed everything for called him and said 5 words, "I am so proud, son." But here's what this story really teaches us. According to a Harvard study, we make snap judgments about people within 7 seconds of meeting them. We assess their value, their intelligence, their worth, all based on appearance, job title, and social markers. We create boxes and stuff people into them, never bothering to ask what else might be inside. Marcus Chun was invisible not because he lacked talent, but because society had decided janitors don't deserve a second glance. How many brilliant minds are we walking past every single day? How much genius goes unrecognized because it doesn't wear the right clothes or hold the right job title? Marcus now performs regularly, but he hasn't forgotten where he came from. He still visits Sterling Financial every month, and he started a program teaching piano to the children of service workers, janitors, security guards, cafeteria staff. Talent doesn't care about your job title, he tells them. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, seen or invisible. It only cares if you give it a chance to breathe. His students have gone on to win competitions, earn scholarships, and discover parts of themselves they never knew existed. One of them, the daughter of a security guard, just got accepted to Juilliard. The Steinway still sits in that executive lounge, but now it's played every Friday during lunch. Employees gather to listen, to remember, to be reminded that extraordinary things live in ordinary places. The piano's brass plate now bears an engraving. To Marcus Chun, who taught us all to listen better. David Sterling says it was the best investment he ever made. Not the piano, but the moment of paying attention. "We spent millions on talent recruitment," he told Forbes, when one of the most gifted people in the building was already on our payroll. We just couldn't see him. So here's my question for you. Who are you not seeing? What brilliance are you walking past because you've already decided someone isn't worth your attention? Marcus's story isn't just about one man and one piano. It's about the countless talents sleeping in the corners of our world, waiting for someone to notice, to ask, to give them one chance to show what they really are. The next time you see a janitor, a barista, a security guard, look again. Really look. Because genius doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just waits quietly, hoping someone will finally ask it to play. If this story moved you, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me about a time you discovered hidden talent in an unexpected place. Subscribe so you never miss these stories that remind us what really matters.